Well, good evening, everybody. I think that I'm live. I can't quite see myself on my end yet, but it tells me that I'm doing it. So, looks like we are together once again. You and all, me and all 0 of you are here, which is great. It's good to see you. It's to feel honored that you're supporting me. And that you are so anxious to learn about guitar for free. So it's good to be with you. Okay, and I just started on Instagram Live too, so if you're on Instagram scrolling through and you're jumping on, hello. Oh, I've got one viewer, got one live stream viewer now. Hi, whoever you are. So you can watch me on Instagram, or you can watch me through YouTube or wherever you are. So tonight is guitar night, and I think should be a pretty concise lesson. There's just 2 things that I want to talk about tonight. The first one, well, so they're both going to be right hand techniques. Last week I talked about learning all the notes on guitar, and tonight I want to talk about some right hand stuff that has to do with using a pick. I play with a pick. Playing without one is very foreign to me. I can do it a little bit, but it's certainly not a strong thing for me. But I'm quite good at the pick, I think, relatively speaking to how good I am with fingerstyle, anyway. And there's some techniques that I think that I'd like to show you. The first one is called a rest stroke. So a rest stroke, and this is a really, really easy and short thing to teach. It's where where you play through the string that you're picking and rest your pick on the next string. So I hope you can kind of see that, where I play through. So I'm playing and doing a downstroke on my low E string, and I'm pressing the pick through, and it's hitting my A string, and that's stopping it. So this is that's why it's called a rest stroke, is because it rests on the next string. You can do it as an upstroke as well. And the principle here, I think, is follow through. Instead of doing a short pluck, there's a follow through to it. And I've noticed that it makes a really big difference in my playing tone. The notes feel a lot clearer to me, and a lot longer. It's a subtle technique, but I think it's important. I'll try and play that same diminished arpeggio that I just did with without doing rest strokes. And then with rest strokes. To me, I can hear a definite difference there. And I think it also helps your right hand be a little more in touch with where it is. And that can give me, which is good to be able to orient yourself with that. So those are rest strokes, and you can do them as downstrokes and upstrokes. It's tougher on your outside strings to do an upstroke, rest stroke, and because there's nothing to rest on. But I like to, so if I'm on the A string and I'm just playing the 5th fret, the 6th fret, the 7th fret, and the 8th fret consecutively and doing alternate picking, I can do rest strokes on all 4 of those notes, and you'll watch my wrist kind of waddle back and forth. This is not something that I really do very fast because it's really hard to. Whereas if I'm playing something fast, I usually kind of have more of a downward angle, and that's maybe a bad habit. But I've seen some guitarists that will play rest strokes, alternate rest strokes at really high speeds, and it's pretty amazing to watch. So that's a rest stroke, and that's something that you can just implement into your playing and something to be aware of. You can do exercises where you do all down rest strokes. And you can just play random notes. Such lovely random notes. And you can do upstrokes too. Just to kind of get the feel for how they work around the guitar. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about was rest strokes. The next thing that I want to talk about is strumming patterns. So this is something that I get asked about as a guitar teacher all the time, is how do I do the right strumming pattern? And I think that a lot of people learn guitar from a chordal perspective, which is a very strum-oriented way of playing the guitar, and get frustrated really quickly when all of their songs sound the same that they're playing because they play the chords and they're similar chords and they're playing the same strumming pattern over and over again. And there's ways that you can address that by having people teach you different strumming patterns. I know there's lots of YouTube lessons that will go over that. But the way that I like to look at strumming is from a subdivision perspective. So I'm gonna switch over to my whiteboard screen so you can see a little drawing that I made. So this is the little strumming diagram, and I've got a subdivision rated out. So the first layer, I've got the just down and up, because those are your two options when you have a pick, is a downstroke and an upstroke. And then beneath it, I've lined it up with two different subdivisions. The white layer of counting is 8th note subdivision, and the yellow layer of counting is a 16th note subdivision. So the first thing that we'll go over, and then we'll get into the counting, is just down and upstrokes when you're strumming. So one of my guitar teachers told me to tie my right hand to my toe, or to imagine that there's a string connected from my right hand to my toe on my right foot, or whichever foot is tapping at the time. And so if I'm tapping my foot, my hand is moving up and down in sync with my foot. And so when I do that, my downstrokes line up with the beat. And my upstrokes line up with the offbeat. So if my tempo is here, and I just do downstrokes or upstrokes, they line up nicely, or down and up at the same time. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and this is something that I've really worked to get ingrained into my playing because it helps with my sight reading a lot. It's a lot easier to think up than it is to think and because it's already a physical thing that's happening. So that's one advantage to it. Now the other thing is if I'm playing a song and I'm strumming, I look at it like my right hand and my foot are already tapping. So I'm in the groove by moving my hand up and down. Sorry, I just got distracted. So like if I'm strumming a G chord, I've got all of the eighth notes in that measure covered. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And now what I can do is I can sort of selectively pick where I want to hit the strings and where I don't. For example, if I just do quarter notes, I've got all of these upstrokes that are happening anyway, right? But I'm just choosing not to strum the strings. Or if I do ups, so I can sort of pick and choose a pattern that that fits into that subdivision just by intuitively deciding when to hit the string. So if this is my tempo and I'm on a G chord, I can just, these are all different. All of that fits into an eighth note subdivision, and so the whole time, and the big point that I want to make is that my right hand is moving down and up in sync with the eighth note subdivision of that song. And it's the same thing if I want to do a 16th note subdivision. So if I want a more intricate, I mean, just depending on the feel of the song and what is appropriate, I could do a 16th note. A 16th note subdivision and work at it that way. So, and that can apply in a lot of contexts. The first thing that comes to my mind is like a funk groove. So there's all my 16th notes. If I just play the straight 16ths, it would be something like, and then I just can kind of pick and choose where I want to mute and where I want to do ghost strokes, you could call it. So all of that was just 16th note strumming, and I hear that in kind of folk guitar things. You could feel that like fast 8th notes or 16th notes. Like, I'm just a poor boy, though my story's seldom told. I squandered my resistance. So like the Boxer by Simon Garfunkel I think sounds really nice with a 16th note subdivision. Or the Send Me On My Way by Rusted Root. So I hope you're paying attention to my right hand, how it's just going up and down like a motor. And I'm intuitively deciding where to not strum and where to strum. And I kind of figured it out like that. I figured out how to make those sounds relatively intuitively. And I spliced in muting and just like not strumming. There's kind of little things that I throw in there that I'm not totally aware that I'm doing, but they kind of happen because I think they sound good. What you can do if it's not so intuitive for you, or if you like to come at it from a really cognitive angle. Oh yeah, on Instagram you guys can't see the whiteboard, but I hope I've explained it well enough. is you can sort of pick and choose the rhythm that you want to do. So just on the whiteboard, I'm gonna erase a couple things and just make an arbitrary strumming pattern. So maybe I'll erase the down on one, and I'll erase the and two. Well, so yeah, we'll think about this in eighth notes first, and then we can play it in 16th note subdivision and see what happens too. Let's get rid of the and of 3, and then we'll keep 4 and. So, and I'll just do this on like a, let's do an A minor chord. So just get my motor running, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 1, and 2, 3. So it's like a nice little strumming pattern. It could be like a cowboy song. G probably wouldn't be in a cowboy song. Doesn't sound like it quite fits. But that's something you could do kind of arbitrarily. So in a 16th note subdivision, that's a little trickier. So that's kind of how that's a way that you could sort of arbitrarily figure out how to do some different strumming patterns. Those are all the things that I wanted to talk about tonight. I hope they're simple. Just as a review, we've got 2 things that I went over. First one is rest strokes, playing through and resting your pick on the next string, and the next thing that I had was just doing different strumming patterns in 8th note and 16th note subdivisions, and how that can really expand your rhythmic palette for strumming. So that's what I have to teach tonight. I hope it was enriching for whoever it is that is watching, and hope you have a good night.